Yo, what's up and welcome to the channel. I'm the Shotgun Shogun and this is Damage by the Numbers. We're going to be talking about Archdemon Shadow today. Now you might be going, Shogun, that's a really scuffed looking Bazaar. What is that? He is just a gear vault. That is what he is. But he shares the same stats with the Archdemon Shadow. So we are going to be using him in order to determine how much damage the Archdemon Shadow will be doing with her modifiers, and then talking a little bit about where I think that she is going to fit in the meta, some team comps, some builds, things along those lines. So first off, let's take a look at her overall stats and her modifiers. So we're going to go over here to the good old-fashioned math damage calculator. Now, as you can see down here at the bottom, S1, S2, S3. So if we take a look here, attack rate is 1, power is 1 on the S1, S2 0.06, and power is 1.3. Now the third one is 1 and 1. Now if we do take a look at those, these abilities are going to only be doing base damage. They don't scale off of anything in particular, so we will be going off of that, I do believe, right? Yeah, everything is baseline. Now one of the things that I think you're going to want to do is you're going to want to build her with attack to take advantage of the burns. The other reason being is that you want to abuse Adventurer Ross, and I think that that's something that a lot of people really haven't thought about with her. Not only that, but I think that a lot of people are too focused right now on how much damage that she does and what her ability is. She is a debuffer. Seeing the fact that she shares a stat line with Bazaar, right? Bazaar is a debuffer. Lulika, who also shares the same stat line, is also a debuffer. Granted, her attack ramps up and her damage ramps up because of her kit, but she is predominantly a debuffer, and I think a lot of people are underestimating what Seal can do. Not only that, especially with dual attacks, with Adventurer Ross pulling her in, with potentially a Cerise pulling her in. She is definitely built for a control comp in order to shut down passives that you really want to, that really mess up control comps. A Tywin, C Zerato, T Surin, FCC, SSB. There's quite a few passives out there that will really hurt a control comp, and I think that that is one of the things that she's able to do. Not only that, a lot of people are concerned about her not being able to use S3 right out the gate. Ravi can't use S3 out the gate. Una can't use S3 out the gate. Dark Corvus can't use S3 out the gate. There's a lot of units that cannot use their S3 right out of the gate, and I think that abusing her S1 S2 combo, like I said, with other dual attackers, Lilius, Kitty Clarissa, Tamrin, and not that you're going to use Tamrin in PvP, right? But Adventurer Ross is a very big, easy one to pull in, especially if you build her with the highest attack in order to pull in the Adventurer Ross and be able to put on the debuff immunity, the S1 into the S3 or S2. The other thing too is you don't absolutely have to have the S1. You don't have to have Seal. It just increases your chances overall, right? So you will still be able to S1, S2 into people who don't necessarily have that. If you make her a little bit fast, she will be turn cycling. She'll be able to get that S3 off very fast and keep everybody locked down. But that's not why you're here. You're here because, well, damage by the numbers. So let's take a look at what we can do by building her as a fast speed debuffer. Now we're going to go, assuming that she's going to go potentially after a stripper, right? After a Cerise, Bazaar, a Mui, something along those lines. Somebody who can strip the debuffs so that she can start applying her Seal, right? So we're going to sort here. We're going to still want some speed on her, but we're going to want some heft. We'll probably run an effectiveness ring, so that way we have the effectiveness that we need. So let's go with this is health, effectiveness, resist. This is a good amount of health here. We don't really care too much about damage unless it is pure attack, right? So we really don't care too much about critical hit chance. We want attack. So we're going to take this sword because it's got health, it's got flat health, it's got speed, and it's got attack, which is what we need. We're going to go with, we do want her to be at least like a little bit on the beefy side, right? So we don't want her to be able to just instantly get dumpstered by anything that moves. So we're not trying to look for let's see, this is health effectiveness, this is defense health. We do want the effectiveness, we still want health effectiveness in our thing here. We're not too, like I said, we're not too worried about let's go with this. This is defense, this is good speed. We'll pick up a, we don't want critical, we don't care about critical hit damage, we just want speed, health, effectiveness, which this one does. And then we'll take our hit set out of the equation. So here we're actually going to go with an attack main because we want her to have the highest attack. So we're going to go with, that's critical hit damage. These are pretty rough here, but this one is the highest health and it has flat attack on it. So we're gonna go with this Gunther one. This gives us lots of attack. We're looking pretty good in terms of, well, let's keep going, right? Because I don't know what I have on him. Yeah, defense ring. So our defense is gonna drop a little bit here. That's effect resist. We don't really care about effect resist. Critical hit chance is okay, but we're trying to find something else, right? This is perfect for her. Okay, so we're gonna go with this. Now we need defensive stats on our boots, so we're gonna want to go speed main. We're gonna want to go, where are we at? We're at 13. Let's look for some HP defense. Our effectiveness is a little low too. That's defense, health, crit damage. Do I have? So 111 isn't too bad. You'll be shutting down most people with that, with passives, right? She's 241. Her overall, she's 1300 defense, 14k HP, 241 speed. Now you could probably slow her down a little bit, put her behind like a Cerise, make her a little bit on the slower side, in order to buff up some of this bulk, right? So she's not getting blown up, but this will allow her to go forward faster than a lot of other things, you know, shutting down. The other thing too that you have to take into consideration is she's got that 30% it's just 30% overall damage reduction, right? No, it's critical hit, so she's got the same as LQC, so she does have 30% reduction on critical hit, so you actually don't necessarily need to build her too super tanky, right? You can get away with a little bit less. Now more is better obviously, but even with 3200 attack, she's going to be doing a fair bit of damage, right? I mean, this is almost what my Dizzy has, which will actually probably put her in my Dizzy gear after this in order to see just how much she would do with that. Maybe swap it out, but because we do want effectiveness, right? You absolutely want to land those seals, you want to land those blinds on the S2. With 241 you're going to be cycling very fast. So let's hop over to the damage calculator. We're going to come over here, we're going to plug these numbers in. So we'll go up here, we're going to assume that she's probably going to be, we're going to leave her on Abyssal Crown, right? Now Basar has an Abyssal Crown on, so those stats would already be included in the Abyssal Crown. So we had 3246. Critical hit damage wasn't anything phenomenal. It was what, 166, but she has 25% chance to crit, so doesn't really matter much. Critical hit damage low. We're not going to assume any buffs, right? But we are going to assume that we're going into, let's say, a tanky bruiser. I always like to use 1200 defense as kind of the go-to, right? Now you might be looking at these numbers and going, yo, this this isn't good. This is not great. 1579 on her S1, to only 947 on her S2, 15 same on her S3. So her modifiers are the same on her S1 and her S3. However, look at that burn damage. 1656 on the burn damage. Now, if you were to, let's say, add in an attack, that jumps up to 2485. You're doing more damage on your S3 burn than you are on your S1 or S2. Now, I would assume that you're probably going to bring an attack buffer, unless you're just doing straight control. If you're running her with Adventurer Ross, you're going to have an attack buffer. So 2485 on her burns, and that's 2 burns, right? Yeah, she has a chance to inflict 2 burns for 2 turns and gives her an extra turn. So, I mean, this is not bad at all. Even on a miss, she's doing 1776 damage with this amount of attack, right? So I think that this isn't too terrible. Again, I don't think that she's meant for damage. Now, if you do potentially land a crit, you're doing almost 4k damage on your S3 to everybody. Now, that is to everybody. Or no, that is yeah, is to everybody. So I mean, you're doing your S1 damage to all enemies and potentially landing 2 burns here, because you have a 100% chance to land if it doesn't get resisted. 111 effectiveness. By the time you get that, you're probably like Frenzy 1. You have some extra effectiveness on, and you're going to be doing massive burn damage. It's kind of the same deal with Fine, right? The bulk of her damage doesn't necessarily come from her crits, her base damage. It comes from a lot of the burns, right? So you can definitely build a burn team, and burns in control are real huge. Pair her up with a Dizzy, you extend the burns, and you have a violin to get rid of whatever stuff. You probably bring in a stripper anyways, a Cerise, stuff like that. So like her with Cerise, with Adventurer Ross, with Dizzy, I think is a very solid combo. And I think that the damage isn't really what you should necessarily be looking at with her, right? Because she's a debuffer. But let's go back, and this is without Arius Adamant. If we put in an Adamant shield, it doesn't matter because she's doing normal attacks. If we put in the Arius, Arius and Adamant, is gonna cut your burn damage down to 1885, but your normal hit is only going down to 1474, right? And that's with the Arius. If it's just the Adamant shield, 1842 burn damage. Oh, I gotta get rid of the defense too. 2485, right? So I mean, that's still pretty solid here. Do I just no damage transfer? No damage transfer. 2369. You know, defense break, you're doing 5386 to everybody. I mean, I know again that's not amazing. Defense break though does amp up your burn damage 4019. So there's that as well, and that's with attack buff. Elemental advantage is going to just increase your damage just a little bit, so really not the worst out there. Rage set does a little bit more, but not anything super spectacular, right? So with that said, let's hop back over and take a look at an alternative build. We'll take a look at more of a lot of people are thinking counter tanky, for turn cycling, for seals, stuff like that. So we'll go counter and then we'll go hit. So we're going to get rid of all of this, and I'm gonna probably put my Dizzy gear on here, just because I know that my Dizzy is like super kitted out, high attack, high heft, okay speed. So we're gonna see what we get here with this build. Dizzy, and then the last 2 pieces will be hit So we want hit on main. We're a little on the slow side. So we'll do effectiveness. What do we have with high sub effectiveness? Because right now she's on an effectiveness main, which I kind of want to... Because that drops her down way too much, and we want her to be able to land these. So we're gonna end up giving her this. That'll up her speed a little bit, so she's gonna be a bit on the slower side for sure. So we're gonna go here. What do I have? Ooh, this is actually pretty good. So this actually gives her the same amount of effectiveness. We have more attack and a bit more heft this time around, and we're on a counter set at 182, which I think is not the most unreasonable. We can give her a bit more no, I think this is probably the best one, because we got health, we got defense, we got effectiveness, we got a lot of attack. So let's hop over and see what she'll do. It's going to be probably around the same, because it's not the biggest upgrade in terms of attack. Actually, let me take a look real quick. It's a little bit, right? So we'll hop back over to the damage calculator. So she was rocking 3531, and she did get a little bit more in the critical hit chance or crit damage at 177, but lost critical hit chance. So this is going to ramp your, with attack buff, is going to ramp your burn up to 2703 without defense break. You're 2577 in damage, 1546 on S2. So if you really think about it, if you S1 into S2, that's 2577 plus 1546, so that's technically 4123 damage if you get that off, right? And that's extra damage to everybody. That's just 14123 or 4123 to your main target, and then 1500 to everybody else, plus blind, plus whatever. And so yeah, you're getting really decent burn damage on that S3 if you when you hit that S3, which with counter attack, I don't think a lot of people would focus her down, but if they are, you're in an okay spot, right? You relying on counter. I personally don't necessarily like to rely on counter, except for anybody who has like inherent survivability, Ravi, stuff like that, Soul Weavers, things like that, right? So yeah, very similar build on the hit. 182 is not a slouch. You will be moving forward if you are if you're hitting the S2s, right? Because you're going to burst and you're going to S2, you're going to get the increased combat readiness. They're going to get decreased hit chance. And so you're going to be in a pretty solid spot there, I think, right? And like I said before, this is a counter, or this is a control unit. The damage isn't her job to do. Like, you want to be looking at like you know, I know I'm gonna say it and the people are gonna laugh, Elfelt, you know, a stack more burns with SBR, right? Stuns, seals, stuff like that, and you can deal with the T-Surns. That's one of the biggest problems with control, right? T-Surn slips out, you're dead. Yeah, A Tywin makes it hard. G Purgus makes it hard. This shuts down all of those, but let's, for the sake of funsies, let's go with like a damage build. So we're gonna have to have attack, we're gonna have to have crit, but we'll still try to make her somewhat speedy, and we want attack and we want crit damage, so that you can take advantage of, with the multipliers, having to stack off of both. You have to be across both of those. So you want attack and you want critical hit damage. We'll go with this. We'll go with And this is not going to be a great build. I personally don't think that she is all too great for just straight damage, but we'll see what we can get out of this. Let's see, 16-18, 16-13, that's much better. So for this, we'll go with critical hit damage, critical hit chance. This should be good. Critical hit chance, health. Does this have any attack? This has attack and some speed, so we'll go with that. Effectiveness, we're just gonna ignore her her effectiveness for the time being. That's defensive, and then speed boots. We still want her speedy, so we'll give her some speed boots, but we need some crit chance to finish this off. Here, these are perfect. These are good. 200 speed, still an okay amount of defense, 9,000 HP. Not great. Not great. This is not a good build at all, but I want to just see how much damage this can do. So 4,007 attack, 288 critical hit damage. Oh wait, hold on, you guys didn't see that, sorry. I've been sitting here talking about this and I didn't even click over to the other thing. Somebody can comment down below about scuffed streamer, scuffed YouTuber. That's fine, but this is what I ended up building right here. You guys got the play-by-play as I was clicking through things, sorry. But let's go back to the calculator. You got to see the calculator. That's what you did. I should pay more attention to what screen I'm on, but we'll go back over here. So 4,007, and we had 288 critical hit damage. So with attack buff into 1,200 defense, you're only doing 8,400 damage on S3, 84 damage on S1. Your burns are doing a little bit more because more of attack, but I don't. This isn't the build. This isn't the build. If you're looking for damage, this is not the character. And I know a lot of people wanted her to be damaged. They wanted her to just like wipe everything out, but that's not. Even with defense break, it's 19k, and just about anybody else can do that way easier. So that's damage by the numbers. I think that your sets are going to be either speed hit or counter attack hit, or immunity if you have immunity and you can make do with that. Personally, I'm probably going to run her on counter attack, maybe, or speed. We'll see. I might make her a little bit thicker. Now, one of the things too that you have to take into consideration is that she does have that 30% damage reduction on her S2, which is really big in keeping her alive. And so she's not going to be a first pick. She's not going to be a third pick. I think she's going to be a fourth or fifth pick, depending on how many passives are on the other side and what you need to disable, right? I think that speedy, bulky unit, like type of character, the control bruiser, is going to be her most preferred build, bringing her with dual attackers to get that focus up, like Ross, like Cerise, like Kitty Clarissa. I've seen people already building Kitty Clarissa to counter, control, and bring in units like this, right? Things like that are very, very big. Having her be able to, double up with the likes of Dizzy, bringing her into that control team in order to apply those burns. The S1, S2 damage is going to be chip damage, but it's going to be pushing her forward. It's going to be getting her more focus. If you think about it, just on turn 1, if you get an S1, S2 off of Adventurer Ross, and then you get an S1, S2 off of yourself, that's 4 focus right there, and you're almost ready to just bust out that S3. You have to kind of think of it like, you know, like I said, like a Ravi. You don't get your S3 immediately out the gate. You have to S1 for a little bit. And so I do think that that is kind of the play. An Abyssal Crown, probably your best bet on her because of her S2. Seal, Abyssal Crown, S2, Abyssal Crown, everybody else. She's a mage, so, you know, Abyssal Crown, right? Alternatively, I was thinking about it too. You could potentially use, if you want turn cycling and you have this available, not everybody has it, but Necro Undine, when they increase the caster's combat radius by 17%, then never mind. It's probably not going to work. It's extra attack. My bad. I was wrong. So don't even bother. Don't even bother. I forgot that it was on extra attack as well. But yeah, Abyssal Crown is probably your best bet. Violin is also another good one. You do want to, like I said, you do want to run her with some sort of stripper or something along those lines. A Cerise, a Basar, you know, any number of like a Dizzy with a violin or her on a violin, right? Any one of those strip options is going to be pretty solid, but that's my take on her. Damage, a little lackluster. Burn, not bad, not bad. Take a look at those attack main necks that you have so that you can build that up. And I think that she will bring a little bit of extra damage, like I said, via the burns, via the S1, S2s into a bruiser control comp that typically lacks from those things. But anyways, guys, I know a lot, like I said, I know a lot of people are mad that she's not what they expected her to be, but I still think that she's very good. I also, like I said, I really like control. Exclamation point control in the chat. Type that down below and I'll probably respond to you with the control copy pasta. But that's it, and that's my take. What's your take on it? I know a lot of people have already complained that immunity invalidates her, cleansers invalidate her, but I think that, like I said, in RTA she's going to be a third or fourth or fifth pick, right? She can also do very well in Guild Wars against people whose passives, because there's a lot of T-Cerns, there's a lot of Arbiter Vildreds. That's right, I completely forgot. She's an Arbiter Vildred counter. So if they pick Arbiter Vildred against your control comp, which is somewhat typical to counter control, right? Because he'll just come back and kill everybody. She just shuts it down. She just shuts him down. Kayron shuts Kayron down. So there's a lot of units, and I think that a lot of people need to think a little bit more outside of the box with her in terms of what she does and not focus so much on damage. Also, the other thing too is that she seals before their passive can trigger. So she seals before she does damage, which is really big, you know, especially against things like Champ Zerato. But like I said, let me know in the comment section what you think about her. I don't think she's necessarily a must pull unless you really like control comps. You can also get her out of the shop for 40 galaxy coins after she is out of rotation. But as always, I'm Shotgun Shogun. That was the damage by the numbers. If you're new here, like, fave, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy, homies. Peace.
Cracky.